Hey, everybody, and welcome back. Are you ready to get into something a little thought-provoking today?
Always.
Great. So today we are going to tackle serving God.
Okay.
But we're not just talking about like the typical how-tos and the, tips and tricks.
Right.
We're going deeper.
I like it.
We are going to look at some of the internal roadblocks, the excuses that we make, and
Yeah.
then what's the payoff,
Mm.
on like an eternal scale. What are we really looking at here?
Right. It's fascinating, isn't it?
It is. It is.
We have this call to serve,
Yes.
but almost like a built-in resistance.
Totally.
Yeah.
And you know what's crazy?
What?
The source that we're looking at, which is a Christian podcast outline,
Okay.
it says that if we don't step up,
Oh.
God might just call on stones to do the job.
Yeah. That's a visual I won't soon forget.
Or right.
It makes you think, though, like, what is it about
I
human
know.
that makes serving,
Yeah.
especially something bigger than ourselves,
Yeah.
so tricky?
Right. You would think.
You'd think it would be instinctual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the source, it really lays out this tension
Yes.
between the call to serve
Mm-hmm.
and our very human tendency to come up with excuses.
Yes.
So why is that such a universal struggle?
Well, if you think about it, it's deeply rooted in our neurobiology.
Oh, okay.
Our brains are wired for self-preservation,
Right.
for seeking comfort, and avoiding anything that disrupts that equilibrium.
Avoiding pain.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sacrifice, which is often inherent in serving,
Mm-hmm.
triggers our brain's threat response system.
So it's not just me being lazy
No,
or selfish?
no.
Okay.
There's a biological component at play.
There's like actual science behind this.
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's like our brain is constantly calculating risks and rewards and stepping outside of our comfort zone to serve, especially when it involves uncertainty or potential loss.
Right.
That can feel like a threat to our well-being.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So the source gets into some scripture here. Okay.
To kind of illustrate this struggle.
Yeah.
And it quotes Matthew 19:29,
Okay.
Mark 8:35,
Mm-hmm.
and Luke 9:62.
Okay.
Can you break those down for us?
Absolutely.
Not just like the, religious meaning, but how they connect to everyday life
Yeah,
choices that we're making.
for sure. Let's start with Matthew 19:29,
Okay.
which talks about the rewards of following Jesus.
Okay.
Think of it like this. We often make decisions based on immediate gratification,
Yeah, I want it now.
right? Like, I don't want to give up my Saturday to volunteer. I want to relax.
Yeah.
But this verse is talking about a different kind of investment,
Okay.
one where the payoff isn't immediate, but it's ultimately far greater.
So it's like choosing to invest in your retirement fund
Yes,
instead of spending all your money right now.
exactly.
Yeah.
Delaying gratification
Yes.
for a much bigger reward down the line.
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it.
It's a shift in perspective.
From the temporal to the eternal. It's about recognizing that sometimes the things that seem like sacrifices in the moment actually lead to a much richer, more meaningful life.
In the long run.
Exactly.
Okay, so what about Mark 8:35?
Yeah.
This one seems a little paradoxical to me.
It is a classic paradox.
Okay.
It says, whoever wants to save their life will lose it. But whoever loses their life for me and for the gospel will save it.
Wow.
So
Okay, so break that down.
it's saying that clinging tightly to your own self-interest
Okay.
can actually lead to a kind of spiritual death,
Mm-hmm.
a sense of emptiness,
Yeah.
lack of purpose.
Okay.
But when you pour your energy into something bigger than yourself,
Mm-hmm.
you find a deeper, more fulfilling kind of life.
So it's not about literally losing your life. It's
Nah.
about losing that narrow focus on yourself.
Exactly.
Okay.
Think about people who dedicate themselves to a cause they believe in.
Yeah.
Maybe it's fighting for social justice,
Mm-hmm.
working in a soup kitchen,
Yeah.
or even just being a truly present and supportive parent.
Right.
They may experience personal sacrifices along the way,
For sure.
but they find a depth of meaning and purpose that wouldn't be possible otherwise.
So they lose themselves in service to something.
Yes.
And in doing so,
Yes.
they kind of discover a greater sense of who they are.
Exactly.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, last one.
Luke 9:62.
Luke 9:62.
It says, no one who puts a hand to the plow and looks back is fit for service in the kingdom of God.
What a visual.
That's a powerful image.
Yeah.
Imagine trying to plow a straight furrow while constantly looking back over your shoulder.
You'd be all over the place.
Exactly. It's about focus,
Okay.
commitment,
Mm-hmm.
about not letting the distractions of the past
Right.
or the uncertainties of the future pull you off course.
So it's not that you can't ever have doubts. It's
Yeah.
just like, stay committed
Stay committed to the path, even when things get tough.
to the path, even
Yeah.
when it's hard.
Exactly.
Like any challenging endeavor,
Yes.
starting a business,
Mm-hmm.
running a marathon, learning a new skill.
Totally.
There will be times when you want to quit,
Mm-hmm.
when the easier path seems more appealing.
Oh, for sure.
But it's in those moments of perseverance,
Mm-hmm.
those moments of choosing to keep going despite the challenges
Yeah.
that we truly grow.
So you're saying it's like building that mental muscle.
Yes.
That resilience.
Okay.
That
To keep moving forward.
keep moving forward.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
Okay, so this podcast outline,
Yeah.
it also offers some practical tips
Okay.
for actually like putting this whole serving without excuses thing into practice.
Right.
And instead of just like listing them all off, I want to dig into like why these tips actually work,
Okay.
like the psychology behind them.
I like that.
Okay, so first up, setting aside dedicated time for serving.
Yes.
How does routine help us to overcome those pesky excuses?
You know those mornings where you hit the snooze button 5 times?
Even though you know you should get up.
Yes.
Our brains love the path of least resistance.
Okay.
Routines are like pre-paving that path.
Mm.
Instead of having a daily debate with yourself about whether or not you'll serve,
Uh-huh.
you make the decision up front.
Okay.
It becomes a habit,
Yeah.
a non-negotiable part of your week,
Okay.
like brushing your teeth.
So you're basically outsmarting your own tendency to procrastinate.
Exactly.
Okay.
You
Right.
build serving into your schedule before your brain even has a chance to come up with excuses.
I like that.
Yeah, you build it in and it just becomes part of your life.
Becomes like second nature.
Exactly.
So cool.
And the more you stick to that routine, the stronger the neural pathways associated with serving become.
Interesting.
It's like carving a groove in your brain.
Okay.
Eventually becomes the default path of least resistance.
So it just gets easier and easier.
Exactly.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So next tip,
Okay.
using your gifts to serve.
Yes.
This almost sounds like career advice. You know?
Yeah.
You know, like find your strengths, find your passions, and build a career around them.
Yes.
But how does that apply to serving something bigger than myself?
It's a beautiful connection, actually.
Ah,
Think about it. We all have unique talents and abilities.
yeah,
Some people are gifted with words, others with numbers,
right.
some with a knack for organization, others with a heart for compassion.
Mm-hmm.
When we use those gifts in service of something beyond ourselves,
Yeah,
we tap into a wellspring of energy and motivation.
like we're fulfilling our purpose.
Yes,
Not just for us, but for everyone else.
precisely.
Yeah.
It's about finding that sweet spot where our passions intersect with the needs of the world.
Okay.
And the amazing thing is when we're serving in a way that aligns with our natural gifts,
Yeah.
it doesn't feel like a chore.
Right.
It feels like a joy.
Yeah, it becomes an expression of who you are.
Exactly.
Not something you have to do.
Right.
Right. I love that. Yeah. Okay, next tip is letting go of fear. We talked earlier about how our brains are wired for self-preservation.
Yeah.
So how do we overcome that fear?
Yeah, it can hold us back.
Yeah, especially when it involves stepping outside of our comfort zone.
Right. Well, fear is a powerful force,
Mm-hmm.
but it's often based on distorted perceptions.
Okay.
It magnifies the potential risks and minimizes our own capabilities.
Yeah, I see.
So the first step is to challenge those fearful thoughts.
Okay.
Ask yourself, what's the worst that could realistically happen?
Mm-hmm.
And what resources or support do I have to navigate that?
Okay.
Often just reframing the situation can help reduce the fear.
So you're saying like face your fears
Exactly.
instead of just letting them control you.
Yeah. And then it's about taking small, manageable steps.
Okay.
You don't have to jump into the deep end right away.
Yeah.
Maybe it's volunteering for a one-time event,
Mm-hmm.
offering to help a friend in need,
Right.
or even just practicing acts of kindness in your daily interactions.
Mhm.
Each step you take, no matter how small, it builds your courage muscle and expands your comfort zone.
So basically like anything else,
Yes.
start small
Start small.
and then gradually increase.
Exactly. And remember, you don't have to do it alone.
Right.
Surround yourself with supportive people,
Yeah.
those who encourage you and celebrate your growth.
It really does make a difference to have people in your corner.
Absolutely.
Okay, last tip, prayer.
Yeah.
The source frames this as like a crucial element
Yes.
of serving without excuses.
It is.
But how does prayer fit into the broader picture of like self-improvement, even for people who aren't particularly religious?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
I think prayer at its core is about aligning our thoughts and actions with a higher purpose.
Okay.
It's about connecting with something bigger than ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
whether you call that God,
Right.
the universe, or simply your own deepest values.
So it's like a form of intentional focus
Exactly.
to clarify your goals and seek guidance.
And you know what's amazing?
What?
Neuroscience is starting to catch up with ancient wisdom.
Oh, wow.
Studies have shown that practices like meditation and prayer can actually change the structure and function of our brains.
Really?
Yeah, they can strengthen areas associated with self-awareness, compassion, and emotional regulation.
So it's not just like a feel-good thing. It's
Yeah.
actually like rewiring your brain
It is.
for the better.
Yeah,
Wow, that's incredible.
yeah. And speaking of powerful words,
Yes.
let's transition to the prayer from the source.
Yeah,
You read it beautifully earlier.
thanks.
It struck me how, even though it's addressed to God,
Yeah.
the themes it expresses,
Mm-hmm.
gratitude,
Yeah.
humility, the desire to serve,
Yeah.
those are universal human experiences.
Absolutely. Those are things we can all relate to,
Yes.
regardless of our spiritual beliefs.
It's about recognizing our own imperfections,
Yeah.
asking for help when we need it,
Mhm.
and striving to live a life that's aligned with our values.
And there's something so powerful about expressing those feelings,
Yes.
whether it's through prayer journaling or just talking to a friend.
Right.
It helps you process your emotions,
Yeah,
gain clarity,
Yeah.
and like renew your commitment to living a life of purpose.
for sure.
So remember that image we talked about earlier?
Yeah.
The idea that if we don't step up to serve God, might just call on stones to do the job.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny
It is.
and terrifying at the same time.
Yeah, but it's a brilliant way to convey the urgency of the message.
Right.
It's like a cosmic wake-up call saying,
Yeah.
hey, the world needs your unique gifts and talents.
Right.
Don't let them go to waste.
It's like we have a choice.
Yes.
We can either be passive bystanders in this whole thing,
Right.
or we can choose to actively participate,
Yeah,
to use our time and our talents to make a positive impact.
exactly. And the beautiful thing is,
Mhm.
even small acts of service can have a ripple effect,
Right.
inspiring others,
Yeah.
creating positive change that extends far beyond ourselves.
So it's like that saying, be the change you want to see in the world.
Exactly.
And sometimes the most powerful change starts with a single step
Yes,
outside of our comfort zone.
a single courageous step.
Okay, so we've explored all this stuff about serving without excuses,
Yeah.
the why, the how, even the what ifs.
Right.
But I think it's time to distill it down, you know?
I agree.
What's like the most potent takeaway?
Yeah, for our listeners.
Yeah, for our listeners.
I think it would be easy to walk away from this thinking we need to achieve some level of perfect, selfless service.
Yeah, like we can never have an excuse.
Right, but I think that's missing the point.
So it's not about never having an excuse. It's more about like how you respond to them.
Exactly. The struggle itself,
Okay.
that internal battle to overcome our limitations,
Yeah.
that's where the real growth happens.
So it's like a muscle.
Yeah,
The more you exercise it, the stronger it gets. So each time we catch ourselves making an excuse and we choose to push past it, it's like we're doing a spiritual bicep curl.
I love that analogy.
Okay, good.
Yeah, and with each rep, we build resilience. We extend our capacity for compassion.
Yeah.
We become more attuned to the needs of others.
And that ripples outwards, right?
It does.
It's like if I'm becoming more service-oriented in my own life, it's going to impact how I interact with my family,
Absolutely.
community.
It becomes less about a list of good deeds
Right.
and more about a way of being in the world,
Okay.
a posture of willingness to contribute, even in small ways.
Now, something that's been sticking with me
Yeah.
is that the source material is really focused on serving God. But doesn't this idea of serving without excuses apply to anything bigger than ourselves?
That's a great point.
Yeah.
Whether it's serving a deity,
Yeah.
a social cause, the environment, even just dedicating yourself to being a better parent or friend,
Yeah.
the underlying principles are the same. It's about recognizing a need that resonates with you and taking action, even when it's hard.
So no matter what we feel called to serve, we all face those internal hurdles.
Right.
And it's in conquering those,
Yes.
not necessarily achieving some like flawless ideal,
Right.
that we really tap into a life of meaning.
Beautifully said.
Thanks.
And that's what I hope our listeners take away from this deep dive.
Yeah.
It's not about being perfect. It's about being present. It's about showing up with all our flaws and limitations and saying, okay, what can I do right here, right now?
Such a powerful message.
Thank you.
Well, I think that brings us to the end of our deep dive.
It does.
But before we go, I want to leave you with a question to ponder.
Okay.
If serving without excuses is about pushing past limitations to contribute to something bigger,
Yeah.
what is your something bigger?
Ooh, I like that.
What community or purpose really sets your soul on fire?
Hmm.
And what's one small step you can take today to answer that call?
That's a beautiful challenge to leave our listeners with.
Yeah.
May we all find the courage to answer that call, even in the smallest of ways.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Thank you.
Until next time, keep diving deep and keep striving to serve without excuses.